Well, it's Sunday night here in the beautiful Midwest. Not near as cold as it was last Sunday. It's 7 o'clock Central Time, and that means that it's time for painting with MenothJohn. Ah, yes, it's your 90 minutes of shenanigans, painting, drinking, cracking, Flippity Bloop, and of course, 90 minutes with everybody's favorite co-host with the co-host, Mr. John Spencer. How are you this evening, Mr. John Spencer?
Good, how are you doing now?
I am doing fantastic, and we're going to ease the music back here so that everyone can hear our dulcet tones to the highest amount of fidelity. Ah, what a week.
Indeed.
What a week it was. It was a week, and I spent my week in beautiful and dreary Seattle, Washington. And from the pre-show banter that we had going on there, sounded like you had a pretty bad week yourself.
Yeah, well, the problem with working with jewelry is that you have to get ready for Valentine's Day on almost no setup time. It's Christmas, straight into Valentine's Day.
It's like, oh hell, I screwed up. I need to better buy some frickin' jewelry.
Yep, well, they got to get there early so they can buy it also.
Sweet.
But we're almost done with that, and then we get some downtime.
Oh, that's awfully cool. Oh, hey, hello everybody out there in the chat all. It is fantastic to see all of the Brushheads. We love each and every one of you. I see all kinds of legendary Brushheads out there and some new visitors as well. So welcome to the show. And as always, we started off with a little bit of Toast of the Kraken, and here's for all the Brushheads out there. This is who we do the show for. Hey, Ron!
Ron.
God, that's some smooth stuff.
Ooh.
It's like candy, only liquid, and it gets you drunk. Liquid candy that gets you drunk. Yep, it's just like candy in that respect. So, put the old sign away for another week, because here on Painting with MenothJohn, we only put the sign up for Painting with MenothJohn at the very beginning of Painting with MenothJohn, the key word being painting with MenothJohn. So I probably should go ahead and show some models, huh, John?
That would be a good idea.
Yep.
I want to see what you got done.
So last week, if you remember, we worked on a couple of Razorboars. We kind of started those almost by mistake. Seems to be kind of a reoccurring theme for us here on the show, painting stuff by mistake. And as you see, I think they turned out pretty good. I'm watching the feed here, and as usual, the feed is ridiculously slow. But here he is. I'm calling this one Had None, because this little piggy had none. And he turned out pretty cool. The skin I did, because it was a little different than it was last week. I'm using, of course, the Badger miniature airbrush ready figure artist color rugged skin. And I got some comments, mostly from my girlfriend, who thought that the skin was a little too pink and not quite, shall we say, war pig enough. And so I washed it down with some Citadel Shade Seraphim Sepia, and I think it turned out pretty darn cool.
Yeah, that's quickly becoming one of my favorite washes.
It's a good wash. It's unlike some of the newer Citadel shades. It's maybe not quite as pigment dense as Agrick's Earthshade and the God, what the hell they call this stuff now? Reichland Flesh Shade. So it's a little bit easier to work with.
Yeah, I use it over everything. I use it over green, some of the greens to good effect even.
Yeah, it's a very useful color. I grant. You know, it's not as dark as a real heavy color, but it just does a nice job of making things pop out. And this one here, the second one is called Barbecue. BBQ. So, and he's looking pretty sharp too. Pretty happy with how he turned out. So, those were two of the models we worked on last week, and they're done. So they can go up on the shelf and gather a 1/4 inch of dust. And then the other one was Lord Rockbottom. And I got Lord Rockbottom done here today. And we'll see here when he comes up on the feed. I'm pretty happy with how he turned out. You know, this is continuing the theme with my purple Mercs. And he's got the red pants that I put on a lot of my Mercs. And he's got what I do with that purple, if you guys remember, is I take the beaten purple from P3, and then I make a wash with MkII blue, and put a little bit of mixing medium in there and some water to dilute it, and maybe basically make a wash out of it. And then that gives it some. It does some pretty nice shading in the creases of his jacket and such. So I'm pretty happy with how it turned out.
Yeah. My only suggestion is that buckle on his front looks like it'd probably be a little better as silver rather than goldish, but
Yeah,
hey,
you know what? You're right.
whatever you like is good.
It would have popped a little bit better, wouldn't it have?
Yeah.
I could still redo that.
Yeah.
And
it still looks really good.
And then reset. No, I appreciate the feedback. And once again, any of you out there in Painting with MenothJohn land, if you want to leave any comments or anything like that on the Facebook page or in the comments on YouTube, feel free. But so yeah, I think that's a good suggestion. I do tend to do a lot of buckles and things like that in silver, and I went with the Rulic Gold on this one just because he's a lord. I thought he might want a goldish belt buckle, but it would pop better with a little bit of silver. So
yeah.
Cool. So what did you do this week?
I worked. Started off painting my Nis Hunters.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, yeah. They're models.
That says it all.
Yeah. They're coming together.
Yeah, they're very difficult. I mean, between the assembly part of them and the and painting them, they're just so darn fiddly.
And there's nothing really inspiring about them. They're serviceable bodies and horrible heads, which I replaced.
Yeah.
And
yep.
then they're there. I just want to get them done and stop thinking about them.
Yeah, I don't blame you on there. This week on the show, I have pole dancer Haley here. This is Haley 2, of course, and just kind of showing you guys what my Signar look like. And on the show today, I'm going to be working on gun mages and also Haley 1. And so I had done one. This is actually the second Haley 1 that I've painted. I painted a Haley 1 for a friend of mine out in California for his daughter who has diabetes, and I painted one up in pink. So now I'm going to come back and I'm going to do a Haley 1 in my standard Signar scheme, and then but the gun mages are going to be like my mercs. They're going to be purple, so purple and gray. So might as well kind of get started with the shizzo. What are you going to be working on today during the show, John?
I'm putting together some bits on these Mage Hunter Strike forces, and then working on those Nis Hunters some more.
Yep. Well, I will pray for you throughout the show today.
Oh, it'll be fine. It's just it's tough to paint when you're not inspired by them.
I hear that. I hear that. I mean, partially why I'm working on the Mage Hunters here is because they're for a tournament that I'm going to be going to in San Diego. I'm going to KingdomCon. And
yeah, excellent.
Got to get these suckers done, man. But these things could not possibly inspire me less. It's just
the old ones I'm not a big fan of. I like the newer ones a bit better, but they were a little. They were okay. They were better than the Nis Hunters, but.
Have they? I'm sorry. Did I miss a resculpt on the gun mages?
Yeah.
Oh my
those
god.
Are the old ones.
Oh my god, I totally missed it. Well, no better time than the present, right? So let's get on, get painting on this. So we dedicate the first half hour of the show to the kind of stellar banter that you've all come to know and appreciate here on Painting with MenothJohn. You heard some of it just now. And then we also spend part of this half hour doing battle reports because we all hear how much we like battle reports. And so, John, I'm actually going to ask you to go ahead and start off first with a battle rep for Infinity, because I understand you just played some Infinity.
I did. I got a game in with one of the locals who's sort of like the champion for Infinity, if you will. He's this one who gets us all playing and ran the last event. And named Jesse Jeter. He's a good guy. And he was playing his standard Hak Islam. They're sort of like, I don't want anyone to think they're like terrorists or anything stupid like that. They're just, sort of Middle Eastern themed guys.
If I understand the fluff, they're kind of medical dudes.
Yeah, yeah, they do a lot of medical research. They're almost good guys, and
As good a good guys as you can find
in
in a
most
miniatures
games,
game.
yeah, yeah. And I'm also playing Hakkasan, but I'm playing one of their sort of theme lists.
Okay.
That's it's called a sectoral army. It's called the Kapu Kalki,
Okay.
and they're sort of
Not to be confused with
bodyguards,
Bukaki.
and they would be sort of like the guys who go with the shipments and shoot anyone who tries to steal them.
Okay. So like they're like a military police kind of a thing almost.
Yeah, that sort of thing. It's a lot of mercenaries in it because you don't send all your best troops with it.
Gotcha.
Though they do have options of some of their best troops.
Cool.
So we set up table 4x4 just like a War Machine, but a lot more terrain dense.
Yeah, I've seen on I want to say like Beasts of War and some of the other YouTube channels that they have a lot of just tons and tons of terrain.
Yeah, there was a couple good lanes of fire. I set up my sniper on one, and my tag, which is like a giant robot, sort of like a jack,
Okay.
but piloted, near another. I won the roll to see who has the choice of going first.
Okay.
I chose to go first. He made me deploy first. So I set up all my dudes. He sets up all his dudes, almost all of them in cover and all.
Yep.
But I noticed he's got 3 little motorcycles behind a building that I can get to.
Okay.
So I start off by dropping my space pirates called Yon Yon. I drop one, try to drop it right around the corner from them, but it scatters out in the middle of everywhere.
Rut roll.
Well, he's still line of sight.
Okay.
Thumbs up.
Yay.
And his guys are armed with the same thing I have, which is called a chain rifle. It's basically it's like a flamethrower that shoots metal shards instead of flames.
Cool.
And he tried to shoot me with that, but he couldn't because he would have hit one of his own dudes.
Okay. So it's got kind of like a spray effect or something like that.
Yeah, it's got a huge spray template. It makes the War Machine spray template look kind of pansy. He couldn't shoot me, so then he reacted and moved a little bit instead when I dropped down. So then I get to activate it, and I shoot a couple of his bikes. He shoots me back. My guy goes down. I actually don't kill him his bike because he rolled like 18, 18, 20 for saves. He was like crazy. Luckily, I bring 2 space pirates. The other one landed right where I wanted, comes around the corner, sprays, gets one, doesn't die to their return fire because he had a little bit of extra armor that he had scavenged off somebody before.
Okay.
Because they have a rule called booty. You roll to see what they get to start the game.
Okay.
And they get all sorts of crazy stuff. So I have him. They all run for cover, though. I don't make good shots. So
that roll for booty comes before the game even starts?
Yep. When I roll dice, see what they get.
It's always nice to get a little extra booty.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
I go over, and he's got a camo guy. I go over, make the roll to discover him.
Okay.
And then I just shoot him. He shoots me too. We both fall down. I'm okay. I killed like 40 points of models with 22 points of models.
Wow.
And the scenario, because we're testing out the new tournament system, was just kill each other.
Okay.
I had some more guys move up. Shot one of his bikes that had gone to cover, but in doing so, had come around a corner, giving me line of sight with one of my other dudes. So he came up and shot him.
Okay.
He had his turn, and he had a drop troop come in from the side with instead of dropping in like my space pirates, he actually walked in.
Okay.
Like he was deployed outside and just came in, sort of like ambush.
Got it.
He came up, shot shot the guy who had just killed his bike, shot at a bunch of stuff, killed Cordelia, who's the engineer who comes with my tag, Scarface, but died to a long-range shot from one of my Druze shock troops, who are sort of really rude mercenary dudes.
Okay.
They're more technologically advanced than my average dude, which is funny. He had a doctor come forward who was camoed up and try and get his forward observer who I had shot with the space pirate back up.
Yep.
But he failed the roll, and
no.
also in doing so, I discovered him and could see him with Scarface, my tag. So when he tried to move,
So you reacted.
Scarface shot him to death.
Nice. Well, that's a bad roll.
Yeah. He had another camo guy come up and try and kill one of my dudes, but to see me, he had to be shooting over a wall, and I was prone next to the wall, so we're sort of shooting each other with full cover, and we don't hit each other at all.
Oh, God.
So I figure I'll try and kill him on my turn. So my turn comes around. My infantry guy comes up, tries to shoot him, and he ends up killing me because he's got a better ballistics skill, and he wins the ties.
You weren't kidding when they say that game. It's always your turn in that game.
Yeah, it's really kind of fun. Scarface turned and shot that guy to death because, hey, that's what he does. And then he had a bike who had come up and coup de grace, which is one of his objectives, one of my space pirates.
Okay.
Because you don't actually die immediately as you take multiple wounds. I'd only taken one, so I just fell over unconscious.
Okay.
But Scarface killed the bike who had just coup de grace him. And I had one of my other models, an Odalesque, who's like a super bodyguard chick.
Okay.
With a mini machine gun, go up and kill one of his guys. You know, she moved far up and up, got line of sight, and shot one of his guys to death. Hung out behind a wall. And I had some other guys move up just to provide cover. Then on his turn, he was running out of orders pretty quick. He got a lot of dudes. He had this one guy pop up from behind a wall. He was prone originally, just stood up and started a firefight with my Odalesque. And it took him 5 orders to kill her.
Holy cow.
Because we kept tying. Now, the way it works is he gets his full number of dice because it's his turn, and I only get like 1 die to shoot back.
Yep.
But every time, my die was as good as his best die, and we had all the same stats, so it was a true tie.
Nice. So how do you resolve that then?
No one gets hit.
No one gets hit, okay.
And he kept using orders and finally got her, after 5 orders. And then he used his last couple orders to move forward and trying to put a Panzerfaust, which is like a 2-shot rocket launcher into Scarface, but Scarface had none of it and shot him to death.
So how OP is Scarface?
He's not really OP. He's an underrated tag, but I love him. We had forgotten the turn before that Scarface was berserk.
Okay.
Because when he kills somebody, he goes berserk and wants more blood.
Okay.
And I'm like, I was looking a couple minutes, looking at the turn, like, there's no way I can get over there and kill the rest of your dudes because I only have a handful of orders. But with the having to take a full order to move, and then getting a second order to move, I'm like, I can actually get to your dude. So he just rumbled forward, moved forward 2 more times, came around a corner, shot one of his flamethrower chicks to death, laughed at her flamethrower, came around another corner with his next order, shot another flamethrower chick to death, again laughed at the flamethrower. And with my last order, I had just enough room to come around another corner and shoot another guy who was hiding to death. At this point, good point, Scarface started off within 12 inches of my board edge.
Yep.
And is now within like 4 inches of his board edge.
Christ.
He just across the table and shot guys to death like it's his job.
As it turns out, it is.
Yeah. So at that point, he just had his lieutenant and an impersonation dude who I couldn't do anything about because he was friendly. He's impersonating me.
Right. Exactly.
But in the spirit of just having fun, he popped out and tried to take a shot at one of my Drews who decided just to kill him. Oh, I can make that shot. So we didn't figure out points. It was pretty obvious at that point that I had won that. Oh.
Well, it sounds like it's a heck of a fun game, though.
It was a good time. Infinity really is good, clean fun.
Cool. I wish that there was some people that actually played it here. I mean, you guys are clearly very blessed to have the number of games available to play that you have there in your meta. I mean, pretty much there's 40K, there's War Machine, and not a whole lot and Magic. And I don't play Magic because I don't have that kind of money to throw away.
Indeed. That's an expensive game.
So I'm going to do my bat rep, my first bat rep now. I'm going to do I played in a tournament. It was a 50-point steamroller. And I had 2 lists. I had Osram with an Earthbreaker, and I had Bart Galleon because I wanted to play with Wrong Eye and Snapjaw because, they just got painted and they look super sexy, and I wanted to play with them. So I went ahead, and it's pretty obvious that there's a couple of things working against me. The first is Menoth wasn't having me playing not Menoth. The creator of Men was angry with MenothJohn and decided that he was going to make bad things happen to me all day for not playing the true faction, the Protectorate of Menoth. And as a result, I rolled up on my first game, which was against one of the local players. Great guy. I've played against him many times. He's also a dwarf player, and he had Osram with an Earthbreaker also. There were 6 Earthbreakers at this tournament out of 24 people. Can you
Holy
believe it?
crap.
Yeah. And I thought it was going to be Mr. Special Unique Snowflake with my Osram Earthbreaker list, and as it turns out, I was about as common gets. And so I said, well, I'm not going to make you do the mirror match. So I hauled out Bart Gallion, and I put Bart behind a wall, and I died. And I had Batten down. He couldn't see me. He couldn't get to me with the torpedoes to knock me down. But he rolled 3 shots on the pop guns, and he hit the first one, directly connected, did a bunch of damage. He then hit me with the second one, direct with boosted, and did a bunch of damage, left me on like 2 health. And then he was out of focus, and he proceeded then to needing boxcars to hit me with the last pop gun shot, and he killed me because he rolled a boxcars to hit, and then it was all over. So that game did not last long.
Didn't sound like it did. Good Lord.
Yeah, I don't believe in saying that I got diced, because I think only jerks say that the dice got me, but this was pretty high on the curve for things to make that particular scenario happen. It was an unlikely assassination with batten down the hatches up, and as a result, I died. So yeah, hooray! So I was in the Cool Kids Club, round 1, but that was really truly only the beginning of my misery. So why don't we go ahead and talk about your second bat rep, which is where you played Ron versus Rias.
Indeed. The locals wanted to play. You only had time for 35, so I just took my 50-point list and pulled out 2 Dester Thanes, a Chimera, and an Arcanist, and went to town.
Yep.
Very quickly, I realized that I need to stop trying the stupid Force Hammer on first turn. I made him go first. He didn't really go too far with his Ravagore, but I looked at the Phoenix. I'm like, I can do that. So I moved forward with the Phoenix and tried a Force Hammer, and it's out of range.
Whoops.
Again. This is like the 3rd time I've done that stupid shit. So I just put Polarity Shield on the Phoenix, and just like, I'm hiding low behind a wall. I got Polarity Shield. What's up?
What's up, dog?
So his force was Rias, Seraph, Ravagore, Shredder, Succubus, Shepherd, War Spears with UA, and whatever you call the other Ogren. Warmongers?
Oh yeah, Warmongers. The ones that
Berserkers.
don't. Yeah, the ones that have pole arms, not throwing spears.
Yeah. And I had Ron, Phoenix.
Hey, Ron!
Arcanist, yeah.
Sorry.
The Silas, Sentinels, Invictors. I think that was it. Oh, and Battle Mages. 1 unit of Battle Mages.
Okay.
So the Phoenix hide behind a wall a little bit and Polarity Shield. He pulled his War Spears up and poked at it and whatever. He shot it with the Seraph, whatever. He only hit it once. Ended up taking 5 points damage to the shield total.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. His Ravagore killed 2 Sentinels, set another one on fire. The rest of the stuff just moved forward.
Yep.
My Sentinels happily take the vengeance move from him killing dudes and charge, killing 3 of the Berserkers and severely wounding another one with the Warmongers.
Yep.
The Invictors, the Phoenix, and the Battle Mages kill all but the officer and one guy of the War Spears, and both of them are injured. So Rias pops her feet, but she moved forward, killed 2 Sentinels, sprints to the top of the hill. He goes on, does a couple other things, and realizes he didn't spend any of her fury.
Oh.
So being a nice opponent, I'm like, well, how about I let you have tenacity, and that's it. He's like, well, that's something. So he takes the tenacity and pops a fury off of her, so she's at 4.
Yep.
I'm a nice guy. You know, he could have done that. It's easy.
Sure.
The Warsphere officer killed one mage. The other one actually was out of command. The other Warspear, because I had drugged the Warspear all the way over to the battle mages.
Because they do
So
that.
all he could do was wander towards command and try and tie up the Phoenix a little bit.
Yep.
The Berserkers did kill a ton of Sentinels. He killed he needed both attacks to do it because he would inevitably fail something, but he killed 6 Sentinels and 2 or 3 Invictors.
Yeah, their defense just isn't high enough.
It's okay. Expected. And the Ravagore killed a couple more Invictors. Actually, only one, and then set 2 on fire. One was the officer. The officer lived through the fire, the other one didn't. But
Okay.
What you do?
Hey, at least the officer lived.
Yeah. The Invictors shot the Ravagore and the Sheriff, doing decent damage to both, and one of them had actually wandered forward and killed the War Spear, tying up the Phoenix.
Okay. Got him
Who had
disengaged.
given 3 focus to.
Cool.
Ron TK'd the Ravagore through the Phoenix, turned it around.
Yep.
A little bit towards the Phoenix. Phoenix walked through the flag, because it was 3 flags, and the one over on the far left where only the battle mages were initially disappeared.
Okay.
So that was good.
Yep.
So I walked through the flag, stayed in base to base with it, and gave up my fist. Turned out it wasn't necessary anyways.
Yep.
Killed the Ravagore. And scored on the flag at the turn. And Sentinel's Vengeance, killing 1 Berserker and charging the Seraph and doing a really good amount of damage. It had maybe 7 boxes left.
Yep.
Or 5 boxes in mine.
You know, it's a little known fact that every time a Ravagore dies, an angel gets its wings.
Huh?
It's
Glad to help.
It's a little known fact, and I'm glad that you could help out.
Well, thanks to his Fury mismanagement, his Seraph frenzied and killed 1 Sentinel. The Berserker who survived killed 2 Invictors.
Okay.
Rias couldn't make it to the flag without running, and she'd already healed the Seraph and cast Nasty on herself, so she just wandered forward. The Succubus ran to the flag.
Okay.
The Shredder finished off the Sentinels by killing the officer, and we both scored, making it 2-1. That turn, the Invictor shot the remaining Berserker, the Phoenix killed the Seraph, and the Shepherd did some damage to the Shredder. And Ron full camped and ran to the flag, and my opponent conceded.
There you go. Yeah. Mismanaging Fury that bad is kind of a death nail.
Yeah, it was a weird list for him.
Yeah.
He kind of raged about my dice a little bit, but
whatever.
Okay, I killed a bunch of warmongers with PAL 12 Weapon Masters.
Turns out that's not a hard thing.
Yeah.
Because they're only armor 15 or armor 16, aren't they?
16 or 17, but still, dice minus 4 or 5?
Yep.
4 dice? Yeah, you kill the crap out of them.
Yeah, especially you give them the Vengeance move so that they can back up and charge or do whatever they need to do to charge you.
Yeah, I always put 3 up front, hey, we're here. Oh my god, you killed us. And then the rest come in and kill you.
How dumb are you? Do you want to kill one of these? Because if you're that dumb, I'll let you.
Yeah.
When I used to
was
play...
just such in a good position that way. I could just put troops up there and not care because, Ron wasn't even in danger that entire game.
Yeah. That's a nice
Until
feeling.
he ran to the flag, he was way in the backfield.
Yep, that's a nice feeling. Back in the day when I used to play a lot of Retribution, I'd play Viros 1 with the Theme Force that lets them take 2 units of Sentinels with an additional UA for free. And so I would mix my Sentinels together. Now, they have reasonably decent, different paint jobs, so it's not a complete rope-a-dope. But I used to mix deploy them so that if he would probably more than likely kill 1 from each unit. So I would get double Vengeance move. That usually made things pretty sad for the poor guy on the other side of the table. Double Vengeance is bad enough. Double Vengeance usually equals lots of stuff dead.
Yes, it does.
Yep. Well, cool. Well, good job on that one. So you had a Game of Infinity that you more or less dominated, even though you didn't add up the scores. You have a distinct win with your Ron versus Rias match, And now I'm going to tell you about 2 losses I have. So you are going to be 2-0, and I'm going to end up as 0-3 by the time this whole ends. So I decided to go ahead and continue playing, and I came up against Sorsha 1, which is a rematch, and it's against one of the local players um, in Milwaukee. And I had just played this list with, I think, Bart Gallion earlier in the week. So I thought, well, I'm already in the Cool Kids Club. I'll just go ahead and I'll try for um, seeing how Ostrom does against it. And this list of his had Sorsha and a Conquest, I think. I don't know. I can't remember everything that was in it. But long story short, I ended up. I play Ostrom in Tier 3 so that I get 2 units. I get an advanced deploy unit. I get all my upkeeps for free, and I get 2 trenches. And what I do is I have a full unit of high shields in there, and they get the advanced deploy. And then I put the trenches in range so that they can just simply walk in shield wall into the trenches. And then I have the Tactical Arcanist crew come up behind them and smoke on them so that they become defense 17, armor 19, immune to blast damage. Which sounds good, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. You know who gives absolutely no poops about that? Is Widowmakers.
that's true.
Widowmakers gives 0 poops about all of that. And as a result, I ended up losing a bunch of high shields pretty quickly until I could meaningfully do something about them. And let's see what else happened in that match. I ended up losing Earthbreaker to Alexia.
She does that.
I had wiped out all kinds of models, and she was sitting on about 1 billion souls, and I didn't do the right thing, which I did do in the first match, which was kill Alexia early, and she came up and went bananas on it. And admittedly, his dice were pretty good, but once once Earthbreaker went down, I'd already lost so many of my high shields. I still had my Hammer Dwarfs coming up, but I had an assassination try on Sorsha, boosting to hit, and what ended up happening was I was going to use the knockdown gun on a Risen that I said, hey, that Risen's within 2 inches of Sorsha. Problem is, when you measure the knockdown, the AoE, a 4-inch AoE, mind you, measures from the center of the model, not from the edge of the model. And as a result, I misestimated, or I never would have gone for the assassination. I would have sat back and just continued winning, and I ended up losing that game. So I'm 0-2 at that point. Yep. And then lunch happened. It's delightful. Fazoli's.
Everyone wins lunch.
Yep, I won lunch, and then I came back to find out that I was the lucky guy that got a bye in the next round. So at that point, I'm 0-2, and I got the bye, so I'm dropping. This is not even worth it at this point anymore. And one of the locals said, "Hey, I'll play a game with you just to kill time." And I was like, "Yep, I came to play games. Why not? Let's go ahead and do it." And he drops Old Witch. So I was forced into a non-mirror match, followed by coming up against Sorsha, and now I'm going to play Khador again. So it was a delightful day. And he played Old Witch, and I played Bart Gallion, and I can't remember what the hell all happened to me there, but I know it wasn't fresh, and I ended up losing. I wasn't feeling very good at the time, and I just decided that, you know what, appreciate it, but I'm probably not going to continue playing. So I went home. It was the best decision I made. I slept great last night.
Sometimes you just gotta go home and call it quits on that.
Absolutely.
You're not feeling it.
Nope. And there was 0% of me that was feeling it at that point. So just good decisions were made by me and by going home. And I watched a movie that we'll talk about later on in the show. But for right now, we're behind schedule, John.
We are.
We have talked about, all of a sudden we became like a serious podcast there for a minute and a half and talked bat reps. But now, you know what time it is.
I do know what time it is.
What time is it, John?
Time to release the Kraken.
Oh, you know it is. It's always a good time to release the Kraken, but now it is time to release the Kraken for some Flippity Bloop. Let me get some Kraken going here. Come on, get out of the bottle. Oh, and there goes the last of the dregs of the big bottle of Kraken. It's a sad moment. We'll have a moment of silence here for the big bottle, the 1.75 liter of Kraken. There it was. That was the moment of silence. And now I have his little cute baby brother. A normal fifth of Kraken. Opened it right up. Oh, the gurgle that a fresh bottle of Kraken makes. It's like music. All right, there we go. All right. So, since it is 7:37, time for some Flippity Bloop, folks. Hey, Ron!
Ron.
Boy, this is... Painting these gun mages is reminding me how much I hate painting units.
Yeah, I really don't like paint units. But we'll get into that. Actually, as a matter of fact, that's almost like a perfect segue.
Oh, look at us. We're a professional-style podcast.
Indeed. Nathaniel Reynolds asks, what was your least favorite model/unit to paint?
Hang on for just a second. Can you answer that first?
I can.
Apparently, my brother has shown up at my back door. I'll be right back.
Oh, crap. Yeah. Well, the Nis Hunters are my least favorite, and I'm painting them right now, which it's not just because I'm painting them right now. They don't have a lot of interesting stuff on them. The character, though she should have the same armor and everything as the unit, does not have the same armor and everything as the unit. There's a dog in the background going crazy. There you go. But, yeah, so, Nis Hunters. I'm just going to get them painted, put in the case, and we'll call them done until Professor eventually makes a new unit, which I will buy. So you guys, in the chat room, what's your least favorite to paint? Or in Banian's case, it's probably all of them, since I don't think I've seen him paint anything other than some skinwalkers as a unit. On the other hand, Cindervale paints like everything. And those are the only guys that can speak. Well, Brad Painter paints everything too. Those are the locals. Those are the ones I can talk about.
Yeah.
Plus, if you guys have any Flippity Bloop questions of your own, you can drop them on the Facebook page, or you can pop them in here.
Okay, sorry about that, John.
No problem.
Family intervention, and then the dog went nuts, and when we don't have technical problems, we've got other things. So
well, it worked funny in the chat room since they were talking about Pokemon, and Cindervale dropped the A Wild Brother appears. So.
So, what's my least favorite unit to paint? My brother's getting a look at the basement of Casa John for the first time since it was completed. He's kind of freaking out right now.
This is beautiful.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Thank you, by the way.
Oh, no problem.
So the worst unit of all time to paint for me. God.
It could be model too. He said model/unit.
No, it's got to be a model. I mean a unit because I don't mind doing models. I made a mistake of doing. Yes, the Nis Hunters were a pain in the butt, but the color scheme that I chose to use helped minimize the carnage. I would have to say that I made the mistake of making my precursor knights cream colored, and it made it just the worst thing ever. And
I don't want to paint that on a large number of models.
Oh God, it was just the worst ever, and it was so hard to keep the color from getting dried out and stupid, and oh my God, it was just the worst. So I would have to say that the precursor knights, my second set of precursor knights, which I have because I'm an idiot and I want to play the Theme Force, is going to have a much different color scheme. It's going to be that kind of a silverish, and then I'm going to do some purple on it too because they're going to be satisfied with the work, Tom.
Oh, beautiful, Dad. You did a tremendous job.
Yeah, you did. It's nice down here. I'm never leaving. Just letting you know.
I'm telling you what,
I'm squatting. You're never getting me out.
I can't imagine that this is what it looks like.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'll take the Brushheads on a tour sometime.
It is so cool.
Yeah. Cool, man. See ya. Sometimes I just have to realize that this is not a terribly professional show, and that it's okay to say goodbye to my brother. So
That's part of the love.
Yep. Okay, so where are we now, buddy? Back on track.
Back on track. Well, I'm going to throw a couple shout-outs. Tau Dark says plastic war spears were the worst that he ever painted.
Ooh, imagine.
Cindervale said Malakarn wasn't the greatest to paint. He had too many fine details. And he also, some of his various Gatorman posse were tedious. Though, to be fair, his Gatorman posse were all painted like Pokemon.
That sounds like a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
If you ever saw it on the Perfect Your Best board, there was a thread of his Gator army painted like Pokemon, and it was legit.
Sweet. Well, of course it's legit. He's a brushhead.
Okay. So.
Cool. Flippity Bloop.
Brian Fox
Uh-oh.
asked, Kador, best faction or best faction ever?
Well, we've just covered that, and I'm going to say neither. Sick of those
My
idiots.
answer is going to be, it's a faction.
It is a faction. It made my dwarfs sad because my high shields didn't get to do much work, but yeah, they're a faction. And if Caleb Huss from Minneapolis is listening, they're a terrible faction. But if anybody else is listening, if you enjoy them, then they are a great faction for you. And I'm sad for you in many ways, but it's still good for you. Flippity Bloop.
Joseph Merrick asks, when and where to use oxidation on a warjack?
So that's a good question. So this is Joe from our local area here. To me, I think the best place to use oxidation on a jack is when to use it. I guess is probably the first part of the question, and that is I would say if you're going to go with oxidation, be consistent across that faction so that you have a consistent look. I mean, if you start rusting out only part of your faction, it might not look that awesome. I don't know what your thoughts on that are, John, but I think that if you're going to go with it, make it a consistent theme. What do you think, John?
I agree. And I think you should just put it on any area that's like exposed and doesn't move. That's the important thing. If it moves, it's not going to build up as much rust.
Yeah, you got to think about the process by which rust happens. I mean, you need it to be coming in from a place that is where the water would pool and sit. And so a lot of times, maybe you have it corrode along, like if you're doing a protectorate jack where you have all those hard angles on the shoulder pads, you might see some corrosion in that that raised portion that is on the shoulder pad. You know, when I did the if you go back and watch the corroding with MenothJohn YouTube, you'll see that I chose to do parts corroded that were close to the ground and were in places that were like stress concentration points. So corners will tend to corrode as well. So I guess that's kind of a long answer, but you know, if you think about where you've seen rust on cars and things like that, or on buildings or something like that, take a look at those and use those as a key. Flippity Bloop.
All right. Brett Painter asks,
Next question.
plastics versus metal.
Next question. Just kidding. So I'm going to probably go against the norm here. I prefer metal. And here's why I prefer metal. Because of the way that I choose to clean up my models using a Dremel with a stainless steel brush or with the rotary wheel and stuff like that, it is easier for me to do a better job with the metals. I've also found that plastic the way I do it, and I, I'm willing to admit my method is a little unorthodox. It just seems that the mold lines are a little bit harder to deal with. Now, if you're doing a more standard method where you have you use an X-Acto knife to clean them off, yeah, probably plastics are probably about 3,000 times easier. But I like working with metal. I prefer to inhale, I guess, pewter rather than plastic. I don't know. What about you?
Well, I'm going to cheat. I'm actually going to say plastic, but that does not include the privateer press restic.
Yeah, okay.
If you're talking GW style plastic, so much easier to work with, so much easier to convert. A little harder if you've got a ton of mold lines, but
how are the mold lines on GW stuff?
Hit or miss.
Hit or miss?
Like anything.
Yeah.
More hit than miss, I find.
Whereas I find more miss than hit with privateers.
Yeah, I just opened up some Feral Warp Wolf out of the 2-player set that's kind of bad.
Yep.
But yeah, the rest stick's pretty horrible. I prefer metal over the rest stick.
I haven't heard that term rest stick before. What does that mean, John? Is that an actual trade name or John? Ruh-roh.
Well, it's commonly thought of as normal resin material and the normal plastic material.
Okay.
I think I stole it from the Grumpy Wargamers, John Webb and those guys.
Okay. Turns out John Webb is legit, so anything he says about painting, I'm believing.
Yes. So there's that.
Okay, well, how about some flippity on that bloop?
Byron Lyles asks, where do you get the motivation to paint from?
I have a podcast. It forces me to get things done. In all honesty, I tell you that in the months leading up to resurrecting Painting with MenothJohn, I got almost nothing done, and now I'm getting a lot done because I feel like I owe it to the folks that come here and spend 90 minutes with me to see something different each week. If you remember, for those of you who are legendary Brushheads, who remember Painting with MenothJohn Mark I, there were times that I might work on the same model 3 weeks in a row. And I don't think that that's fair. I don't think that makes good television. I don't think it makes good fun times to talk about doing here I am doing the goddamn boom howlers again, which all, by the way, are still not done. And so that's where I find the motivation. The other place I find a lot of my motivation is, I think one of the reasons why Menoth decided to slap me down so hard this weekend is because I was playing unpainted. And normally if I'm playing Protectorate, it is almost, and it's not true anymore, it used to be literally true, that I could not play unpainted in Protectorate because everything was painted. But that's not the case anymore because of those damn Flamebringers, which I need to get done for some reason because I bought them. I'm not sure why. So, what about you, John? Where do you find the motivation other than my haranguing you?
Actually, I have motivation from hanging out at the store with people. You can't always game.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, this past weekend, Lord, we filled up almost every table in that joint, and that's impressive.
That is impressive.
We'll have to get you out here sometime and show you how many tables we have.
Yeah.
But that and whenever I have to go to we go to the ATC, and it requires all painted, and go to a tournament that requires all painted will get you motivated.
Well, sometime I should take
12 hours to get there.
Sometime I should take a road trip out there and hang out with you guys, and we'll do a remote of Painting with MenothJohn.
Absolutely.
Wow, I'm getting sick of doing these guys. Let me tell you. And all I've done is one color, and I haven't even done their hats. And I'm not doing their hats until I do their skin. So take that. So I think I'm going to put the gun mages away for a minute and start working on Haley 1.
Gotcha.
Okay, what's the next Flippity Bloops?
I'm going to jump into one from the chat room real quick.
Nice.
How Dark asks, what list do you see yourself using Flamebringers in?
I have a list made, and I would bring it up and tell you exactly what's in the list, where I'm not afraid that I would totally lose John Spencer in the process, because I'm not sure if silly ass War Room is going to play nice with Skype. Should we try an experiment, because we haven't already had enough technical issues, John?
Oh, if you feel like it.
Let's give it a try. I'm going to go ahead and I'm pressing the button, and I'm hitting War Room. Are you still there, John?
I am.
Oh, look at that technologies we have.
Yes, well, I can answer this question easily. I don't play Menoth, but if I did, I'd find a use for them. I like fast units. Threat range is really fun.
Threat ranges are fun, and that is kind of the theme of the list that I have here, and I'm trying to find it. And here it is. I call the list Hyperfast. And Hyperfast is Thyra, Flame of Sorrow, with the Blood of Martyrs, because he's too cool to not play. I mean, he's a good enough Jack already, but when you got her and he gets his sidestep, he's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I got a set of racks because I always feel like Thyra doesn't have enough focus. I have a Bastion Seneschal. Now you're saying, speed? What's a Bastion Seneschal doing there? But I also have a unit of 5 Bastions, which are super cool at holding zones. So while it is super fast, I need something that can actually like stick around for a while. And so, meanwhile, while my opponent is dealing with everything else in this list, I've got a full unit of Bastions and a Bastion Seneschal coming up behind him to give him a bad time. I've got a Choir, a minimum Choir, and then I have 2 units of Daughters of the Flame, and I have a unit of the Flame. I have the full unit of Flamebringers. I have all 5 of them, and then I have Idrian Skirmishers with the Chieftain and Guide. The idea here being that the Daughters of the Flame are super fast, and they're speed 7 with advanced deploy. We've got Flamebringers, which are speed 9. We've got Skirmishers, who have advanced deploy and are speed 6, I believe. And then so you've got all that stuff pushing forward. And if you go first, you've got significant stuff all up in people's business right off the get-go. Meanwhile, back at the farm, we have Bastions and the Blood of Martyrs coming up to mop up if anything's left. So that's the list. Is it any good? Couldn't tell you. Haven't played it.
Well, it seems like it's got at least a good chance. I mean, super quick. It's got a good thought behind it. So
yeah, I tried to think about it, and so we'll see how it does. I mean, given the fact that I got the mercenaries just straight up beat out of me on Saturday. This Tuesday, I'm gonna go back to playing some Protectorate, and I'm kind of thinking, why not? Let's go ahead and let's play a little Thyra, see what that's all about. Maybe it'll be stupid, maybe it won't be. Who knows? It'll be fun, one way or the other.
Absolutely.
I know that Brett Painter is enjoying one of my lists. I had to throw that in there.
And the local meta is not enjoying one of your lists.
Yes, I understand that Brett has decided to unleash the project the Project Foundation list on the greater Maryland meta, and people are just loving it. So
I wish we could call it something as lofty as the greater Maryland meta, but it's really more of the drop zone meta.
Okay, the drop zone meta. He's released it on. He hasn't released the Kraken, but he has released the Foundation, and it's a fun list. It kills things. It does it pretty well. It is so. Those of you, I don't know if I even talked about Foundation on the show, John.
Yeah, I think you've done it a couple times.
Okay, well, it's a fun list. If anybody hasn't heard of Foundation, leave a comment. I will publish it to the greater world after probably TempleCon, because I'm planning on using it for one of my TempleCon lists for my tournaments. So, Flippity Bloop.
All right. Neek asks, was Pay with MenothJohn a better show without Nevendar watching it live? Be honest.
I will be 100% honest that everything in life is better with Nevendar. And you will not get me to throw one of the true legendary Brushheads underneath the bus, because he has been a host, And while I love you, Neek, don't you come after one of the legendary brushheads, because you will lose your legendary brushhead status. We have nothing but peace and harmony in this dojo. So, I would now like you to apologize in the chat room, if you would, because I think you owe him an apology. So, John, I'm going to need you to keep an eye on that, and if he doesn't, then I need you to berate him or something.
Fair enough.
Okay, so Flippity Bloop.
All right. Jason Belcha asks, if you could have one non-native character solo from another faction added to Menoth, which one would it be?
I thought about this one. I don't usually look at the Flippity Bloop questions before the show because I want everybody out there to experience my raw horror when I hear them. Like, oh my God, how am I going to answer this? But this one I did look at, and I can answer it in one, and that is the Scarlock Thrall.
Oh.
If I had the ability to just sit around and for free hot swap some of the things, like hot swap Ignite for free, those kinds of things, yeah, I could do that. Scarlock is pretty hot shiznat. What about you?
Yeah, no, that can't happen.
No.
Well, I don't play Menoth, but if I could have one non-character solo in Mercenaries, I'd probably take something crazy like, I'm really a big fan of the Ghost Sniper now.
Oh, that's an unusual pick, buddy.
He's my kind of solo. I like shooting.
Yep.
Usually my answer to most problems.
You can't argue with 3 points of damage for free.
Yeah, I've been using a couple of them with Eris 1 and being like, I'm just going to take 9 points off this jack. That's an arm gone.
Yep.
If not 2 turns, it's an arm gone.
And isn't, don't their sniper abilities, don't you get to choose column too?
Yes.
Oh, that's pretty sweet, because then you could take Cortex. Oh, could you get a Cortex? I don't think you can get a Cortex.
It'll take 2 turns, but I can.
Oh, I'm sorry. Brett Painter just blew my mind. Hot swap Iron Aggression.
Yeah, good lord. No,
okay, that one wins. Hot swapping Iron Aggression would be pretty okay. Turning 2 jacks into essentially focus 4 jacks. Yep, sounds good.
You can do 3. You put it on one initially the turn before.
Yep, then hot swap it over. Yep.
Then you activate and swap it, and then the Scarlock
Yep.
Thanks, Brett, if I need it.
I hope that nobody from Privateer Press is listening, because we need that Scarlock now. Absolutely need it.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm not sure how we're a playable faction without that. Now that I'm thinking about it more.
How is anyone a playable faction without that?
Exactly. So I think we probably need to start something on the Privateer Press forums. Scarlocks for all factions 2014.
Sounds good. I'm in.
Cool. I knew I could count on you, man. Flippity Bloop.
All right. Next is Alan Green asks, Nicolas Cage, worst actor ever or world's greatest misunderstood actor?
Oh my God, he's trying to get me to throw Carl underneath the bus. He's trying to get me to get Carl from War Machine Weekend and throw him underneath the bus. And Hot Carl is one of the truly sweet people in the whole wide world. Nick Cage happens to be his favorite actor, which is really sad, kind of. I kind of hate Nick Cage.
I can see that. He's fun.
I kind of hate Nick Cage.
Oh.
I liked him in Raising Arizona a bunch.
That's an underrated movie. That one's good.
And I don't know that I've necessarily seen enough of his other stuff to just hate him outright, but I dislike him enough. Let's go to the peanut gallery on this one. Belinda, what's your feeling on Nick Cage? Oh, I think she might have gone upstairs. She's going to side with me on this one then. So, anyway.
I'd say world's greatest misunderstood actor. He amuses me.
Cool.
He's not always believable. He's really crazy, but he's amusing.
All right. I mean, that's fair enough. I mean, we can agree to be on slightly different sides on this one.
Oh, I can't wait for the next one. Next one's good.
Flippity Bloop.
All right. Well, the next one is one Belinda Lawrence asked, What is your secret guilty pleasure?
Um, huh, huh. I threatened to say fellatio on here when she mentioned that she was going to bring it on here, but that's really not all that secret, and it's not really a guilty pleasure. It's just a pleasure. I'm going to say there is a chocolate candy from Argentina called alfajores. And I know that sounds terrible. And when I first heard of it, I was like, when the guy from Argentina was explaining, we're going to go to this coffee shop called Havana, which is Havana, like the Cuban place, and we're going to get an alfajor. I was like, excuse me, is that like the most powerful whore they have, or what is that? And no, as it turns out, it's this lovely little cookie thing that is like it's like a ding dong, but instead of having cream in the middle, it's got dulcet de leche, which is kind of a caramely. It's like sex made out of sugar. It's really good, and I have a box of them upstairs, but I only eat one every now and again because they are super awesome, and it's not like I can drive down the street and get any more of them. So I'm trying to make them last. So, Flippity Bloop.
All right. Well, no more here, but we do have Eric Defoe asking for Super Bowl picks from both of us.
I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packers. Oh, wait, they're not in the playoffs anymore, are they? No. God. So, next week, San Francisco plays Seattle, and that's the NFC Championship, and then the Broncos play the Patriots. Okay, so worst case scenario for me would be Patriots, San Francisco 49ers. So that's what's going to happen. Might as well relegate myself to that because it's the worst possible thing that could happen. And then what's even worse is that Benghazi from Flippin' Cripple System is a Patriots fan, and he's insufferable anytime anything good happens to him. So that means that the worst case scenario would be the Patriots winning because he's a Patriot fan. So I'm going to go with the Patriots for my Super Bowl pick based on how much misery it's going to cause me.
I was going to choose the Chargers. They had a lot of historical things going for them, but hey, they're not in it anymore.
That didn't quite happen.
I'm going to choose the Broncos. I don't think Seattle has it. I don't think Seattle will. I mean, they might make it, but I don't think they're going to win it.
Yeah, the fact that now the Broncos are going to Seattle, right? I'm sorry. San Francisco is going to Seattle.
Correct.
Okay.
And the Patriots are going to Denver.
So I guess I'm in a little different place than you are on that one because I kind of believe in the Seattle Seahawks. Call it me being a Starbucks employee now, but I've kind of found a little bit of religion with those guys. Their fans are stupid. Holy shiznat. Are they crazy? I mean, I live around Packer fans, and I thought they were nuts. These guys are straight up off the hook, just wrong. I was listening to a sports radio station out of Seattle while I was up there, and literally, they never changed subjects. It was Seahawks, as far as I could tell, all the time. And I'm not exaggerating. This is literally all the time. And it was like rabid fan talk. It wasn't even like, sometimes you get the occasional radio station that will, even if their team is doing well, they'll still kind of, like throw them underneath the bus a little bit. Not these clowns. They are all in. So and that stadium was built to be loud. So I think that San Francisco could have a problem there. And furthermore, I don't believe in Kaepernick. I think he's a clown. And their coach is a clown. And so I'm going to go with Seattle winning that one.
Yeah, I agree. But I believe Peyton Manning will help win it all. And it'll make people around here so upset because he used to play for the Colts.
Yep.
And people around here are still upset that the Colts left Baltimore. Even the people who are too young to remember it, which is really kind of annoying.
I'm supposed to hate this, so I do.
Yeah, I mean, I barely remember it. I was really young when they left, and also a Washington Redskins fan, and didn't care much. But you know, the older fans, I give it to you. That was uncool. The younger fans, shut up.
Shut up. Get after your Ravens, or just don't be a fan. One of the two.
Well, they're Ravens fans, but they just heap hate on the Colts, and anyone associated with the Colts at all.
Well, good for them. I'm happy for them. So let's see. So that is Flippity Bloop. Are there any more Flippity Bloops? Because we're just about out of time.
Nope, that was the last one.
Well, that's excellent timing. So
Indeed.
it is 8:06. Oh my God, I didn't finish my Kraken from the last one. Hang on. There, now it's empty. Take that, monkey glass. All right, I gotta cover up my Midland flush. All right, here we go. Kraken rum coming up. All right, here we go. Getting the monkey glass full. Oh, yeah. I hope you guys can hear that out there. There we go. There's your full glass of Kraken. Just so that you guys know that I'm not cheating you. I'm not cutting any corners for the Brushheads. We're at 16. We're down a little bit this week, I think. But we sure appreciate each and every one of you that's out here. So once again, we're gonna put this Kraken down the pie hole for you. So hey, Ron!
Run.
Smooth as broken glass. All right, so I thought also, just before we get to our movies and media and things like that, I'd give everybody a look at what the Steel Soul Protector looks like. And there it is. One last look at it before it heads out the door to Edifo. It is all boxed up and ready to go. And I hope you all enjoy that. Look at I have packed it in foam. I cut up a sable foam and put a piece of cardboard across it. And then he is in a custom pluck foam that I've also supported it underneath with some pluck foam and on the top with some pluck foam. So it should get to you in one piece, as spindly as that piece of shit model is. And may I never have to assemble one of those again in my life.
Oh, is it the normal one?
Yeah, it's not the kick protector.
Yeah.
It's the silly ass spear. Edifo, I apologize. It's going to be bent. There's not a whole lot I can do about it. I did the best I could with it, and he's going to paint me a house guard thing. So, yeehaw.
Yeah, I remember one of my locals are complaining about that too.
Yep, it is. It's kind of a giant pain in the Kabanska. Anyway, so this is our part of the show here where we talk about any kind of media or movies or anything else this is kind of a catch-all. If I was going to steal something from Geek Nights, I would call this the lounge. It's kind of where we're just going to talk about some other things we've got going on. Before we get too far into what John and I watched this week, I think we should probably discuss the Painting with MenothJohn Movie Club. Don't you think, John?
Absolutely.
I think we don't get that out here now. I think we may lose some of our listeners. The average listening of this show is about 16 minutes. So, and that's actually no lie. Out of 90 minutes, people watch 16 of it. Not sure which 16 they watch, but for the legendary Brushheads,
that's probably more of an average.
Yeah, I hope it is.
You guys would probably jump in and jump out immediately.
I hope so. So anyway, so we discussed it before the show started, and I gave John two options for the inaugural, the very first, if you will, Painting with MenothJohn Movie Club, and the choices were either Bulletproof Monk or Mega Shark versus Crocosaurus. And these are both available on Netflix. And I should have picked it off of Amazon Prime. And I'm sorry, John, that I didn't, because I know that you do not have Netflix. You have Amazon Prime, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So I think I got lucky on this one. And all of the Brushheads can thank John profusely for having picked Bulletproof Monk. because I was all in on Crocosaurus. Megashark versus Crocosaurus speaks to me on a lot of levels. And so we may pick that one in the future. But for next week, Brushheads, I would like you to take some time out of your day to watch a Chow Yun-Fat joint called Bulletproof Monk. Chow Yun-Fat, part of the Hong Kong kung fu style movie type guy. He is all that in a bag of chips. You'll love him. And please watch so that we can discuss as a chat room and as a podcast the Bulletproof Monk. So, anyway, John, you own this movie, correct?
I do. I own it on DVD.
Okay. I have not seen it, so no spoilers. I love me some Jackie Chan, so I'm hoping this is going to be somewhere along the lines of a more serious Jackie Chan movie, maybe a little Jet Li type of a feel to it, and I expect good things.
Any more Jackie Chan than Jet Li.
Oh, good. Well, that's hooray. First off, but it should be good times. I would hope that Belinda will watch this with me, and it'll be good times. So, but let's talk about what we did watch this week. John, would you like to go first? Do you want me to go first?
I'll go first.
Why don't you go first, John?
I will start with a classic, totally classic, MST3K episode, Fugitive Alien.
Now, Fugitive Alien is a Joel Hodgson episode, correct?
It is, though, if you look carefully, Mike Nelson is in the episode actually playing a part.
Nice. Those are always pretty good. So
yep, and it's based off, they basically make fun of a 1978 Japanese TV series that sort of got pushed together into a movie.
Nice.
And it has the epic Tried to Kill Him with a Forklift song.
Oh, so what? Now tell me about the. Okay, so that's Joel singing that, right? With the bots.
Yes.
Nice.
And it's good times. It's cheesy. It's not terribly coherent at times, but it's good fun. Though for our younger brushheads, you're not going to get some of those jokes.
Nope, those jokes come straight up out of the early '90s, '80s, and '70s.
Yeah, I don't get some of those jokes, or some of those jokes I only barely get, but it's a good time. It's silly enough. If you find, gay innuendo jokes funny, you'll get a total kick out of this.
So, for those of you who don't have Amazon Prime, the big advantage of it, in one man's opinion, over Netflix is they have the best MST3K selection of any online service. They've got, I don't even know how many Netflix even has, but I don't think it's many.
Well, funny enough, I actually own this. It came in one of the sets. It's set 24, if I'm looking at my Roman numerals correctly.
Nice. That's pretty awesome.
It's a great set. It's got Fugitive Alien, Fugitive Alien 2, The Sword and the Dragon, which I've never heard of, and Samson versus the Vampire Women.
Man, I'm going to tell you what, all the Samson movies were just straight up pure gold.
Yeah, it had good reviews, and I'd seen the Fugitive Alien episode years ago, and it's a good time. I'll tell you what, if you're on Amazon looking for one of those sets to buy, there's a guy, Valanistar, who does a rating and a review for every single one. He's a bit of a tool in real life, but boy, he knows his MS3K. Trust his reviews, hands down.
That show, once Joel Hodgson left, I stopped watching pretty much. Mike Nelson was okay, but once Trace Bellew and the guy it left, and TV's Frank, it just stopped being watchable.
Yeah, it got a little more hit or miss at that point.
Yep. Anything with Mary Jo Pehl in it doesn't work for me.
And I will give my rating of that. I'm going to give it 2 shots of Craig out of 5.
Oh, that's good. That's a good rating right there.
Because, at the end of the day, it is still a very horribly acted, not greatly dubbed, and not coherent story Japanese movie.
There is that.
But it is fun.
For those of you who are actually watching what I'm doing with the painting, you're going to notice that my flesh tones are just freaking everywhere. There's not a lot of coherency to them. They're not very well painted. I find that these flesh tones from Privateer, they dry like instantly. So if you don't keep them with like a really high, don't dilute them a little bit with your brush, because I work right out of the pot because I'm a lazy guy. That they just absolutely just turn into a big caked up mess, and you lose all the detail. So I keep them. I almost wash them on over a succession of applications. So anyway, so 2 shots out of 5, pretty good, pretty good rating. So last night I got back from the debacle known as the tournament that I played in, and I needed something to watch, and it was just me and the dog. It was just me and Zaza the Wonder Smell, and I came across a movie on Netflix that I frankly hadn't heard of before, and kind of caught my eye, and it was called Europa Report. Now, had you heard of this movie, John?
I have.
Okay, I had never even remotely heard of this movie. Low budget. At least it seemed to me it was low budget. Did it appear that way to you?
I haven't seen it, but I've
Okay.
heard about it.
Okay, so it seemed pretty low budget. But what they did was they handled low budget. And what was the name of that film again? Game of Thrones new season trailer. Very hyped. Okay, anyway, trying to catch up with the chat room a little bit from Fairdocs. So I thought it was like pretty low budget. But what they did was what most low budget shows should do but don't, and that is they used a very few number of sets, but the sets that they used were wonderfully done, and it was a science fiction movie, but they didn't make it hinge on all of the they didn't make it hinge on the special effects. Apparently, I am Europa Report. So okay, so it's the story of the first manned mission to Jupiter's moon Europa, which is scientists have discovered has, I guess, I don't know if they've fully discovered that it has liquid water underneath the surface, or that they have strong evidence that it has liquid water below the surface. And so they send a private company sponsors a manned mission to Europa to find out, is there life on Europa. And it's the story of this crew and what happens over the 2 years it takes them to get there, and then what happens once they actually reach the planet. And I thought it was well acted. I thought the plot was suspenseful, and because they used the fact that they had no budget to their advantage, because you never really see what's going on terribly well, which builds the suspense and makes for a really good movie. So I thought for what they had to work with from a budget standpoint, I thought it was well plotted, well acted, and a very good movie. And I would highly recommend to any of the Brushheads out there to watch Europa Report. It's not an action flick. It's a little more cerebral. It's kind of fun. Not fun from like a ha-ha standpoint, because it's not. But it is. Go watch it. So I'm going to give it 1 out of 5 Krakens.
Ooh.
I
It's
really.
got Charlton Copley in there, and I love him. He's cool.
What character did you play?
I don't know which character he played in there, but I know he's in there.
Okay, I don't know who that is. That's why I was asking.
He was in District 9 or District 13, whichever one, and he was Murdoch in the 18 movie.
Okay, he was probably okay. I probably know who you're talking about. Yeah, he was probably the ship's engineer, or his assistant engineer, or whatever he was. So yeah, I really liked it. I thought everyone did just a wonderful job with it, and I can promise you that after I get done painting the flesh on this last gun mage, I'm probably done painting for tonight.
Well, I actually watched another movie also this week.
You did? What did you watch?
Yes. My wife and I watched Streets of Fire.
Nice.
Which is early 80s, directed by Walter Hill, who did like 48 Hours, and he's done a ton of movies, actually.
This is the first movie that I remember Willem Dafoe being in. This, I believe, predates Platoon.
It does, I think.
So,
My memory it does. But it's they describe it in the first couple minutes as a rock and roll fable, and that's pretty good description.
yep.
It's got a very sort of mashup of the 50s plus early 80s style just mushed together.
That's a really good way of describing it because that is exactly the aesthetic that they go for. You've got the 80s kind of almost decadence and in combined with the 50s sort of West Side Story-ish feel to it.
Yeah. And it all starts off very quickly with a gang led by Willem Dafoe breaking into a woman's concert and kidnapping her.
Yep.
Because, the 80s movies are all kind of rapey, unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, this also features one of my favorite female actors of the 80s, Deborah Van Valkenburg, or whatever her name is.
And she plays Cody's sister?
Yep.
Okay. As Michael Pare in one of his few good starring roles. He plays the main character, Cody, who's sort of like an ex-soldier who comes back, and he has to go get her because the singer, Diane Lane, who plays Ellen Aim, is his old flame. And it's nominally sort of an action-style movie, but it's not tons and tons of action. It's really kind of unique in that. It's weird.
It's mostly just people walking around in vinyl.
Mostly Willem Dafoe in vinyl, and it's kind of creepy, to be honest.
Yeah, he wears a lot of
begin with. Ooh.
Wears a lot of vinyl in that show.
And it's a lot of tough guy, 50s tough guy style sort of to it.
Yep, exactly. I like the movie a lot.
Yeah, I enjoy it a lot. It's also got Rick Moranis in there, who plays a great sort of. He's the little guy, and he snaps at whoever he can. My wife just piped up and said that he's a dick.
People used to think I look like Rick Moranis.
I don't see it.
Not anymore. My facial hair took care of that. Thank God.
But yeah, so it's a good fun movie. I'm going to give it a split rating because it's one of those kind of movies. If you like that kind of style that it's bringing to the table, then it's a shot and a half because there's some bad dialogue in it, and it's occasionally weird.
So if it's for you, it's for you.
Yeah, and if it's not for you,
it is not for you.
It's 3.5 shots. It's going to be slow at points. I mean, the action when it gets started is usually pretty cool. It's none of that 80s action cliche where the good guy kills everyone or anything like that. They fight smart.
Yeah.
People react intelligently when guns are drawn, which I kind of like about it.
That is a good thing. Well, that's good. So we have the 2 shots at Kraken for your original one, which was the MST3K one, and then we've got the split rating for Streets of Fire, and I'm down with that.
Yeah, that's pretty fair. I mean, it's a fun movie. If you can catch it for free, do it. I own it for DVD. Who knew?
Oh, there you go. I'm trying to figure out something to put here. Here, I'll lean Rockbottom on the shot glass of Kraken so that people can see him. Because I'm done painting for tonight, I can promise you that.
Yeah, I'm not going to get any more done tonight.
Nope. So, but it's a good time to run out of gas because it's 5 minutes until the show ends. So
absolutely.
I'm just looking back here through the chat room here. We've got Cindervale mentioning some good things about Bulletproof Monk. That's awesome. I am excited for the Game of Thrones coming back. My girlfriend and I need to bring her brother and his wife over to watch all of season 3, so we got to get that done. And then, yeah, it is almost fitting that Rockbottom is leaning against a glass of rum. I agree completely. So, anyway, so next week, Brushheads, make sure you get a chance to watch Bulletproof Monk. I hope we'll have some good banter in the chat room during the third half hour, known as the Movies and Media half hour. That's not a very catchy name. We'll have to think of something for that.
Yeah, I'll give it some thought.
Yep. And let's see. God, I have a half a bottle of Spotted Cow I haven't drank yet either.
Oh, I'm empty. The Cherry Coke and Jim Beam Black Cherry went away pretty fast for me.
Good for you. Good for you. Anything kind of coming up this week?
Couple days of work. Nothing crazy though. I'm going to give a shout out to all my locals who are going up to last minute to. Oh boy, my brain just stopped.
That's okay. Going up to a
that
tournament?
place in Connecticut with the tournament at TempleCon.
Oh, yep, coming up in February.
Yeah, you're going to see quite a few of my locals up there. 4 or 5 of them last minute decided they're going to go up to TempleCon.
Fantastic. Well, if you're watching the show, make sure you give me a great big hug and buy me a beer.
None of them are watching the show, unfortunately.
Damn it. Tell them to walk right up and say hi and buy me a beer. But,
I will. You'll see R, Jason, Cree, and then Jesse Jeter, who's the guy I played in Infinity for today's battle report, will be up there also.
Super cool. I'm really looking forward to TempleCon. Right now, it's going to be myself and Brian Culp and Major Tusk from the Crippled System podcast are going to pile in the Gulf, and we're going to drive to TempleCon.
Bold move.
17 hours. So I think it's going to work out just cool. And then I get to see Forsaken Pop-Tart for the first time in way too long. And hopefully we'll be able to relive what I still consider to be the most incredible game of War Machine ever, which took place at like 5 o'clock in the morning during a Midnight Madness thing. And we were, we were both sort of commentating on the action of the game like we were like game show hosts. And it was pretty amazing. So, well, John, you got anything else?
I'm going to try and make it TempleCon next year. This year is a no-go, various reasons. But this year's a no-go, but next year I'm going to try and make it up there.
You know, if it works out, if this car thing works out, it could be a regular thing for me.
Mm.
So I think I'm probably going to be back next year. So let's see here. I got to figure out what happened to the music here. There we go. There's the music. Can't end a show without music. Well, Brushheads, it's 8:30 in the Central Time Zone, 9:30 out east, and that means it's the end. It's kind of a sad time. So, for those of you out there who are watching the show, and for those of you who will watch this at a later time on YouTube, make sure you watch Bulletproof Monk before next week, and you have a great week. And on behalf of Painting with MenothJohn and John Spencer, one last, hey, Ron!
Ron.
And that's a dead soldier, folks. Can't think of a better way to end the show. So, have a great week, and we will see you 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern, some goddamn time, Greenwich Mean Time. Who the hell cares about Pacific Time? And we'll see you then. So, have a great week, everybody.